Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to Tarot by the Book. If you're new to Tarot by the Book, this is a weekly series on my channel where I like to share with you guys a bit of a working or a deck in action kind of review of one of the decks that I have selected for my collection. I select the deck for the series each week randomly, so I'll throw everything into a random name generator, a random name picker, and that's how we pick the deck for the week. But this is basically an opportunity for me to give you a 3-card intuitive week ahead reading. We also will look at the guidebook for the deck or the little white book for the deck or one of my favorite tarot books if there's neither. And then I will also read you the entries from the guidebook. This is really great because it gives you an opportunity to see how a deck actually reads, and it also gives you an opportunity to learn a little bit about different symbols and cards and the way that a deck creator may express the meaning of that card. And you get a reading. So I think it's kind of like a cool all-in-one series. I really like doing these on my channel. This week I have selected the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. This is the pocket edition. I do actually own the full size of this deck. I love the pocket edition. It is so, so beautiful, and I've been really enjoying working with it. I can't bring myself to get rid of this little separator paper. I don't know why. Does anybody else struggle with that? This comes in a really nice, like, sturdy 2-piece box, and everything is just beautiful quality on this. Why can't I close the? Because I'm doing it one-handed, Lisa. Okay, there we go. It is so beautifully produced. I love the backs on this deck. I'm gonna have to edge them at some point because they're so white on the backs, but the artwork in this deck is so, so stunning. And in a lot of ways, I feel like this pocket edition, it's matte cardstock, whereas the full size is glossy and has big borders. I just feel like the art really, really pops. It's also missing the titles. So instead of the titles for the cards, you actually have in the corner a elemental symbol and a Roman numeral for the minors. And for the majors, you just have in the upper right-hand corner a Roman numeral. And what's nice about that is that you can kind of get out of the way of, or I guess look past the structure differences and just read this deck intuitively using the artwork. It's going to be really interesting to see how I do with this actually, because I've really struggled to use the Dreams of Gaia Tarot intuitively. I've tended to really rely on the guidebooks, both the full-size version and this sweet little pocket version. And I love this deck using the guidebook, but the structure has been changed. Instead of a page, knight, queen, king, you have just cards 11, 12, 13, and 14, I believe. I believe there's all 4 of those. And they are very, very different. In the majors, there's extra cards, and I don't actually know if I know what's what, or if I can really remember. So we'll see. In fact, I think this may be my first ever attempt at reading with this deck intuitively, so we'll see how I do. With that being said, we are going to be relying on the guidebook at the end, because that's the whole point of this series. So if it totally flops and I get nothing for some reason, then we're still good. So if you are here for your 3-card week ahead reading, then take a couple deep breaths, get settled in your seat, pay attention, maybe just kind of really focus on the cards that as I'm shuffling them. Focus on either your week ahead or a situation that you'd like to apply the meanings to. I will be giving us 3 card positions as always, the same positions I use every week on the series, which is first card for the energy of the week ahead, or your situation you could apply it to. The second card is the potential obstacle. And the third card is our advice. So I'm going to be approaching the reading from the perspective of our week ahead. But you may apply those meanings, obviously, to any situation that you like. Just focus on that situation as you watch me shuffle. I'm going to take a few more shuffles, and then we will get started. Okay, energy of the week ahead. 13. Uh-oh, we're already in trouble. I don't know what card that is. Our obstacle is the 2 of fire. And we'll be looking at this card as if it were reversed, because this is a shadowy position when we're looking at it as an obstacle. And the advice of the week is the 18 of the major arcana. Oh boy. it'll be really interesting to see what, if anything, I remember about what these cards actually are supposed to be, especially since we have 2 majors. The minors are actually easier. Okay, we can do this. First card, let's take a look at the artwork. So we have this almost like heart-shaped figure in the background here. We have all the chakras lit up on this central figure. We have an eagle and a wolf and this beautiful Celtic knotwork. And up ahead, there's 2 figures kind of going head to head. I don't know if you can see that there. Hopefully it's focusing properly. There's a lot going on here. There's this butterfly right at the pelvis and the root chakra. What I'm getting from this card actually is balance, almost a temperance-like energy. I certainly don't think that this is the death card. It doesn't give me death card feelings, but it does give me a feeling of deep connectedness to the earth and to nature. She's very rooted here into the earth, as if her trunk here is actually the trunk of a tree. And then she's also got this as above, so below energy here happening, where it's almost like she's rooting down to rise up. I would say that this makes me feel that it's going to be important to stay balanced this week, that the energy of the upcoming week is of sort of opposing forces and finding your center despite those opposing forces. Being that harmonic place in the center where you really focus on your own needs, what you need to do to stay balanced, to stay focused and centered despite what's going on around you. I almost get the feeling of being very well protected as well this week, which is interesting. There's a real guardian feeling to this card, particularly with these 2 wild figures, the eagle and the wolf at the bottom, facing outward. I almost get that very protected feeling. And I'm really focusing on the chakras going through the center of this card, right up to the crown chakra. Definitely a feeling of being rooted and connected. So I think that's going to be our overall energy of the week, is finding our center, perhaps despite any chaos that's going on around us. Oh, I should zoom us in. I meant to do that. Let me adjust my camera angle just slightly. All right, so our obstacle of the week is the 2 of fire. And so I'm going to look at this card as if this card were in its shadowed aspect. And we have these 2 figures that are similar but different. You almost get the feeling of like a really powerful partnership. But if I were looking at this in shadow, I would say, we have a couple of pretty strong personalities that are potentially coming head to head, which does sort of echo a little bit of what I might have been getting from these figures up in the corner of this first major arcana card. I'm going to be really curious to see what that is, because I legitimately can't remember. But anyway, so I feel like there's going to be the potential for some conflict this week. So we may be dealing with some strong personalities, especially when I get that feeling of like head to head. And then I have this card as well. It really sort of echoes that message for me. The 2 of Wands in its upright position to me traditionally, for me, really means possibility and the beginning of something that's not quite formed yet. And so when it comes to a pair of people or 2 people potentially, there may be something about trying to get something done together, or where they maybe need to work together, and the 2 people involved are just not quite meshing properly, and so there's the potential for that sense of conflict. So keep an eye out for that this week. Try to remember that if that's going on, especially if it's going on with people that are not you, where you're not one of these 2 figures, remember that you don't have to take on other people's stuff, because the energy of the week is definitely about trying to maintain your balance and your focus in spite of any of this tumultuous stuff that goes on around you. Let's take a look at the 3rd card here, and man, it's bugging me that I can't remember this card. I want to say it's perspective. I'm really focusing on these 2 masks up in the top here. There's like this golden mask and this blue mask, and she's peering into this bowl, and I get this feeling, and it might even be, I feel like perspective is just the word that's coming to mind, but I feel like she's trying to get away from her personal filters, and she's trying to look at a situation somewhat objectively, and perhaps maybe even get some advice. Like I almost get the feeling that she's scrying or divining and looking for that extra boost of help to sort out a situation. And that's interesting because as the advice card for our 3-card reading, it tells me that one of the ways that you can focus this week on maintaining your center and not getting caught up in other people's dramas or strife or issues, or taking on things that aren't your responsibility, is to take that step back, maybe pull a couple cards for yourself, or use your pendulum, or meditate, or do some journaling, anything that will get you that perspective where you're doing it on your own. You're not like going to these people to try to sort it out with them. You're taking a step back, taking some quiet time, and leaning into whatever practices really help you get that perspective. So that, my friends, is our 3-card intuitive week ahead. Whew. This one was scary because, again, this isn't a deck that I know very well intuitively, but I feel like I did okay. Let's see how we line up in the guidebook with what these cards actually were, because, again, there are some different cards in the major arcana in this deck. So let's look up first the 13 in the major arcana, and that card is Union. So I believe this was the Lovers then, or a similar card to the Lovers. So the guidebook says that the keywords are wholeness, marriage, unity, connection, integration, harmony, alignment, and peace. Now, alignment and peace definitely came through with this image, so good job. The artist here is Raven Phelan. She obviously did a good job of conveying that feeling. The key phrases are unity and wholeness. Harmony arises when we are in alignment. You have unlimited potential, a path that marries science and spirituality. Duality creates separation. The marriage of body, mind, and soul. All is connected. Complete self-acceptance. Do not dominate nor be submissive. That was that balanced, almost protected energy I think I was getting from this card. At the center is the void. You are a temple, worship within, and fear and need, cornerstones of dependency. So rather than leaning into fear and need, instead to be very self-contained, to be whole all unto yourself, right? Really, really cool. I think that that blends really beautifully with what I was getting intuitively from this card about maintaining your center. But I like the added messages of sort of getting that wholeness from yourself, not necessarily relying on other people to fill the void this week, but instead filling it yourself, right? So self-care definitely this week is going to be about focusing on you and like staying in your lane to a certain degree, right? Like don't take on stuff that's not your responsibility to take on, for sure. The Two of Fire, let's take a look. So air, fire. So keywords: power, sharing, mentorship, partnership, equality, teamwork, mutual interests, ambition, and control. And again, keep in mind, we were looking at this in a shadowy aspect. So we're going to be looking out for key phrases and keywords that sort of speak more to the shadow of this card. So let's see what it says here. Align yourself with another. So again, the shadowy side would be a misalignment with another. A power sharing situation. I was definitely picking that up. Two heads are better than one. A time for teamwork and cooperation, or again, in its shadowy, perhaps a blockage to teamwork and cooperation, which does echo what I got from this. Seek one who will teach much needed skills, an equal exchange of energy. Someone who will help you overcome obstacles, and a struggle for power. So the struggle for power is more of the like shadowy meaning, and that's definitely what I was getting from this card, from a obstacle perspective. So stay out of other people's power struggles. Try not to get caught up in any yourself, right, this week. And our third card is the 18, and that is a major arcana card. I'm so curious if I was anywhere close to... it's thought, not perspective. And I almost said thought earlier. Oh, man. So, thought, reality, power, attention, focus, attraction, positivity, negativity, and universal law. Thought creates reality. Thought is the foundation of consciousness. Don't rush your thinking. Be certain. Thought is energy. Energy flows where attention goes. Be mindful of the universal laws. An accord between conscious and unconscious mind. Be realistic instead of optimistic or pessimistic. Good and bad go hand in hand. Change your mind, change your life. Do not overthink or speculate, and question the critical mind. So definitely some of the messages that I was getting from this card about like stepping back and looking at a situation somewhat objectively, stepping back and like leaning into your divinatory tools to get that needed perspective. I think that sort of harmonizes with what the book had to say, but I definitely did think this was a different card. And it's interesting how that my own personal perception of what this card could be about affected the reading, which is really interesting. I think that the messages that came through both intuitively and with the guidebook have some good stuff in there for us to consider this week as we move about through our week. But this, my friends, is the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, the Pocket Edition. This is a Blue Angel deck. Love, 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 love this. But I will say I really, because it strays from the traditional structure, I really do enjoy working with it with its guidebook. And often if I work with this small Pocket Edition, what I'll do is I'll reflect on the reading using the small guidebook that comes with the Pocket Edition. And then if I feel like I want or need to dive into more depth in any of the cards, I'll pull out my full-size guidebook and for the full-size version of this deck, and I'll read more thoroughly about that particular card and then see if anything new jumps out at me. So thank you again for joining me for this week's Tarot by the Book. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I can't wait to hear how this reading resonated for you, so leave me a comment down below and let me know. And as always, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do that over at supportivetarot.com. Thanks, guys. Bye.